Welcome back to the 20-Minute Investor, the show where we help you build wealth through real estate and small business investing in just 20 minutes a day. Today's episode, I'm going to share my top frameworks for processing and dealing with the overwhelming influx of information that I deal with every day in real time. You'll leave with a practical system for processing information faster, using AI to compress your effort, and focusing your limited time on actions that actually move your portfolio forward. To start, I want to share one of my favorite frameworks that I learned from a gentleman named Tiago Forte. He wrote a book called Building a Second Brain and has run a program by that same name for several years now. But it involves the idea of how we process information. There's an influx that is beyond our control on a daily basis. Everywhere you look, every time you log into your phone, everywhere you drive, we see so many things, and it's very difficult to retain and understand what is signal and what is noise. So he has a framework he calls CODE, C-O-D-E. C is for capture. So capture is the idea of what I just said. You have a ton of information coming in, and you have to make an initial filter about what is signal and what is noise. But once you've identified that something is meaningful to your business or your project or whatever you're working on, the idea is you need to capture it. It does not need to be perfect. It does not need to look a certain way. You just need to find a way to capture the idea in a way that you'll be able to conjure at a later time when you look at your notes. This can be audio messages. This can be I use an app called Drafts, which is a one-click to start a new note. Whatever it is your system to create. And I'll share a link of the tools that I use below in the show notes. But the idea, once again, is to simply capture things. O is organize. So, of course, if you capture a bunch of scratch notes and it's written in shorthand, or you have miscellaneous pictures and video that's not labeled, it's very important to organize all of those thoughts. Otherwise, they just become as scattered as the noise that you were trying to avoid. So organizing is typically the step after capturing, and that's where you take the information and you try and synthesize it. Distill. You might have organized things into buckets, but you still haven't quite turned it into what the actual insights that you might be using are. So distilling is going to take those notes and actually turn them into things that you can use in the future. And that becomes part of what Tiago calls your second brain. Then the final step, which is becoming more and more popular, especially with the advent of AI, is content, right? It's E for express. And whether you do content publicly or whether your job is to just show up a certain way in your business or even for your family, expressing your thoughts clearly is the single best outcome of this system. By going through that entire flow and all those different parts, you will be able to much more clearly articulate your thoughts and frankly come up with some probably interesting points of view and perspectives that you might otherwise not have. So why did I share that framework? Ordinarily, before ChatGPT and large language models took over the internet and the world, that used to be a relatively long process. It was manageable, but for a lot of people, the friction it took to actually go through all those steps and do it consistently, it was a pretty big learning curve, and a lot of people struggled to adopt systems like that, myself included. I forced myself through and I tried to build those habits. But what I am going to share today is how AI has helped compress that entire timeline. What used to take 2 to 3 hours can now be done in about 10 to 15 minutes. So in that flow, capture, organize, distill, express, AI can help with the last three. It can only respond to the inputs that you give it. However, that's the capture step, right? So your job now becomes, if you're going to use this system and if you're going to use the tools like I have, to simply capture the things that matter to you, whether it's through recorders or voice notes, all the things I mentioned earlier, and give AI enough input to be able to understand what it is you're trying to get to. And you tell it the exact outcome that you're looking for, and it can organize, distill, and express. The most important step in this chain, in my opinion, would be distill. And that is one thing that AI does very well. If you have not already been able to take ideas in your head and have conversations with AI to help refine your thoughts, that is my single favorite use case for AI. There are so many things that I've been able to learn or work through or spin or build a different perspective on simply by just engaging and having a long conversation with AI about whatever it is I'm working on. So the idea being, if you can capture and you can even organize into buckets and provide AI with what it is you're trying to accomplish, it can complete that entire cycle for you. Now, One other way I use this is in my weekly review. So when you capture things throughout the week, you sometimes don't exactly know when or where you're going to use it. So if you are not careful, that list can build up very quickly, and then it becomes so overwhelming that you never take any action on it. So part of the 20-minute investor system, which we have other videos that break down the weekly review, and I will certainly have more, but part of the core functions of this system are that you do one weekly review every single week, no exceptions, no matter where you are in the world or what you're doing, barring absolute complete emergencies. And this is the single most important part of the system, because you take all these things that you've captured throughout the week, you take all the things that you've done and that you said you were going to do, and you measure yourself against them. Within that process, you're going to take the things you captured and you're going to assign them out to different tasks. So if something that you captured is let's say someday, maybe, you saw a vacation destination that you might want to go to 3 years from now. That's not something you need to act on, but if you just let it sit there, it's going to live on that list forever. So finding different ways to take those ideas and park them in the relevant places is what's going to actually let you act on them in the future. So those are just a couple ways that I have used AI and the code framework in order to further my business. It has saved me enormous amounts of time. It's made me a better speaker. It's made me a better writer. And at the end of the day, my favorite outcome is that it has given me a stronger conviction in the points of view that I have, because I have been able to use AI to help refine those thoughts in a way that I can express to the world in a way that's going to relate. So I would love to hear, if you're listening this far, what are the different ways that you use AI? And have you ever heard of that framework before? And if not, what are you going to do with the code framework now that you know? Thank you for listening, and we will catch you on the next one.